So, let's talk about CrowdStrike. If that name didn't ring a bell before July 2024, it almost certainly does now. We're going to dive into how this absolute giant in cybersecurity, a company that was supposed to be our digital protector, ended up being the one to, well, bring the world to a grinding halt. So, yeah, let's get right into it. So, picture this. It's just a normal Friday, July 19th, 2024. And then things start to go very, very wrong. Reports just start pouring in from all over the world. Computers are crashing. Key systems are just failing left and right. It felt like the entire digital backbone of our lives was just snapping, one piece at a time. And look, we're not talking about some minor glitch here. No way. This was a massive cascading failure happening on a global scale. I mean, commercial flights, grounded. People stranded everywhere. You go to an ATM, it's dark. Major news channels, just off the air. And maybe the scariest part, even 911 emergency call centers went down. The world was, and I mean this literally, on pause. And the financial hit? Just staggering. Get this. Just for the Fortune 500 companies, the estimated cost was over $5.4 billion. Billion. With a B. That one number really tells you everything you need to know about the economic shockwave this thing sent out. But here's the real kicker. The big twist in the story. This whole global shutdown, it wasn't a sophisticated cyber attack from another country. It wasn't some shadowy hacker group. Nope. The culprit was a simple, faulty software update. And it came from the one company that was supposed to be protecting all those systems. CrowdStrike. So that really begs the question, right? Who is CrowdStrike? I mean, how does a single company get so woven into our global infrastructure that one little mistake can cause that much chaos? Let's unpack it. Okay, so at its heart, what CrowdStrike does is something called endpoint security. It sounds technical, but it's pretty simple. Just think about every single device that connects to a network. Your work computer, your phone, even the huge servers that run an entire airline. Each one of those is an endpoint. And CrowdStrike's whole job is to be the security guard at the door of every single one of those endpoints, keeping the bad guys out. In this company, they are not shy about what they do. Their marketing is all about total confidence. Their slogan is as simple and direct as it gets: we stop breaches. That's it. A really bold promise, right? And, well, after what happened on July 19th, that slogan started to sound, pretty ironic. So the company got its start back in 2011, founded by a trio of cybersecurity vets. Their mission was pretty clear from the get-go: use the power of cloud AI to actually hunt for threats before they cause damage. And their main weapon in this fight is their key product, the Falcon platform. That's the software, the code, that's running on millions and millions of those endpoints we just talked about. Now, you might think they gotta be this huge company, just your great sales. But that's not the whole story. Not even close. CrowdStrike really built its name, its reputation, in the trenches of some of the biggest, most high-profile cyber investigations we've seen in the last decade. They were like the digital detectives, the ones you call in when everything has gone completely sideways. You can literally track their rise to fame through these huge cases. Back in 2014, they were right in the middle of that massive Sony Pictures hack investigation. They also helped unmask a state-sponsored Chinese hacking group. But the case that really put them on the map, the one that made them a household name, that was still to come. That moment came in 2016. CrowdStrike gets the call to investigate the hack of the Democratic National Committee's servers. And just like that, this private tech company is suddenly a central player in a massive geopolitical story, tangled up with Russian intelligence and a US presidential election. The stakes just got incredibly high. And their work wasn't just some report that got filed away. No, their findings were so important that they were actually quoted by the FBI director, James Comey, while he was testifying before Congress. I mean, think about that. That's how CrowdStrike's analysis became a huge part of the official story, and it absolutely cemented their reputation as the elite of the elite. But it's important to note that not all of their big reports went unchallenged. For example, in late 2016, CrowdStrike put out a report claiming that Russian hackers had used a compromised app to cause huge losses for Ukrainian artillery units. The thing is, this was publicly disputed. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense came out and said their losses were way smaller and not from hacking. And even a key think tank that CrowdStrike cited said their data was used incorrectly. So that definitely stirred up some controversy. So, despite a few bumps, you take that high-profile detective work, you combine it with a really powerful product, and what do you get? A truly meteoric rise in the business world. CrowdStrike wasn't just solving crimes anymore. They were building an empire of code. And as we later find out, they were also building a new kind of risk right into the system. By 2017, the company was worth over $1 billion. That's what they call unicorn status in Silicon Valley. But here's the crazy part. Just 1 year after that, its valuation had tripled to over $3 billion. The growth wasn't just fast, it was absolutely explosive. And if you look at their revenue, it tells the exact same story. I mean, in 2020, they were pulling in just under $500 million. By 2024, that jumped to over $3 billion, and the projection for 2025, almost $4 billion. That trajectory just screams one thing. Their software had become completely essential to how the global economy works. And they weren't just sitting on that money, they used it to cement their power. They had a huge blockbuster IPO back in 2019. They started buying up their competitors, spending hundreds of millions of dollars to just absorb their tech. And then, in what has to be the most ironic timing ever, they joined the super prestigious S&P 500 index in June of 2024. Yeah, just 1 month before the whole world went dark. And that brings us full circle, right back to where we started. Because with all that power, with being on so many computers, came an absolutely immense risk. The very tool that was designed to protect the world's digital infrastructure also had the power to break it. All of it, all at once. So how exactly did one update cause all this? Well, you can think of it as a simple 3-step catastrophe. Step 1. CrowdStrike pushes out a bad update file, a little thing called channel file 291. Step 2. That file causes a logic error in their own Falcon software that's running on the machine. And step 3, that tiny error is what sent computers everywhere into the infamous blue screen of death, causing them to crash and reboot over and over and over again in this paralyzing endless loop. The immediate fallout, as you can imagine, was brutal. The company's stock price took an 11% nosedive in 1 day. And fixing it, it was a total nightmare. It wasn't just another patch. IT staff had to physically go to each machine and intervene manually. For a big company with thousands of computers, that's an impossible task. And to make it even worse, if a computer was encrypted with something like BitLocker, you needed a special recovery key just to get in, which was another massive, massive headache. So what happened next? Well, CrowdStrike had to move fast to try and regain trust. They completely overhauled their testing procedures. They started bringing in third-party reviewers to double-check their work. And, probably most importantly, they started giving their own customers more control over when to apply these critical updates. So this kind of thing couldn't just happen out of the blue again. Ultimately, the whole story of CrowdStrike is a huge wake-up call, right? It's a powerful lesson about just how fragile our super connected world really is. It points to this central paradox of our digital lives. We put enormous trust and power into the hands of just a few companies, all in the name of staying safe. But it leaves you with this one really big question to think about. When we trust a single company to protect millions of us, who's there to protect us from the protector?